much respect to UConn. I mean, they did a masterful job, in executing on both sides of the basketball. And then at the same time, I have to say goodbye to a senior class that, had a historical impact on our game and our program and our conference and our city and our state.
We're calling the plays, all right? You got to listen and you got to execute.
I already feel good about me. I'm good.
Just call it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. The UConn Lady Huskies put belt to ass against the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. Dawn Staley's squad just could not get it done. They played a decent enough first half, but the second half, UConn just put it on them and pulled away. UConn was just a better team on this day, period. South Carolina had a good game plan. The first half, they kind of kept everything contained. UConn tried to pull away a little bit. They kept the lead under double digits. South Carolina played decent enough defense. UConn did not make a lot of three-pointers. They basically kept Paige Beckers in check, but they had no answer for AZ Fudd, and they definitely had no answer for Sarah Strong. Now, AZ Fudd was the most outstanding player in the tournament. I would beg to differ. In my opinion, that should have went to Sarah Strong. The last 4 games, 3 out of those 4 games, she had a double-double. Sarah Strong, for a freshman, played out of this world. AZ Fudd was good, but in my opinion, Sarah Strong was better. It is what it is. That's my opinion. You've got yours. But this game, the second half of this game, South Carolina could not buy a bucket in the paint. They just could not score. They were making good stops. The defense, the rebounds, steals, turnovers, things of that nature were relatively even. One team wasn't way ahead of another. It was pretty much even on the defensive side. The difference came in the paint. South Carolina could not buy a friggin' bucket. They couldn't do it. Look at the big chart here. Look at all of these shots in the paint that South Carolina was missing. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. They had plenty of opportunities to make these shots. Rush shots, out of position, underneath the basket. UConn just basically out-hustled them. Dawn Staley said they had a good game plan, and in my opinion, they did have a good game plan.
I mean, it's just pressure. I don't think that their pressure was anything different than maybe a Texas pressure. I think what happened to us, I thought our game plan was good. I mean, they made a 3 at the end of the second quarter, 1-3 in the whole first half. If you give yourself a chance if you play the 2 game with UConn. It is the 3 game is the separation, but we couldn't get our 2 game going. We couldn't get easy layups. So they did a good job at we took the 3 away. They executed in the half court and got a lot of 2 points.
But when they got stops on the other end, back on the offense, they could not convert, and it killed them. It absolutely killed them. Now, if you look at these box scores, Sarah Strong, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Sarah Strong was the MVP of this tournament, in my opinion. Jenna L. Alfie, she only got 2 points. Caitlin Chin had a good game. She did more with the assists and spreading the ball around. She played better than the stats indicate. AZ Fudd was on fire. 9 for 17. Didn't have a good game at 3, only 1 for 6 from 3. Ended up with 24 points, but they did their damage on the floor. Paige Beckers had a good game. Not a great game, not a elite player type game. She scored 17 points, has 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal and 2 blocks. That's a good game. 5 for 14 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3. South Carolina did a good job keeping UConn 23.5% from 3, 4 out of 17. They shot 48% from the floor, though. They had 18 assists, 8 steals, 40 rebounds, and 5 blocks. You go down to South Carolina, 36 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 steals, 4 blocks. Pretty much even. South Carolina had 11 turnovers. UConn had 9. So the defensive game was relatively even, and South Carolina did a pretty decent job because they slowed down. They couldn't stop, but they slowed down Paige Beckers. The only problem was you got a woman named Sarah Strong and you got AZ Fudd. They got a three-headed monster there. You got to pick your poison. And South Carolina had no answer. It wasn't like the masterful game plan. This is a situation, and I've said this before, it doesn't matter what sport. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, doesn't matter. This was a game. This is not a coach's game. This was not about who had the best X's and O's. This was about the 5 women that were on the court for UConn was better than the 5 women for South Carolina. They made more shots when they had to make the shots, period. They took the title. The third and fourth period in this game, UConn wins the third period 26-16, a 10-point win. The fourth period, 20-17. This was a wire-to-wire victory. UConn was clicking on all cylinders. Paige Beckers, she had a good game, but AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong, they had no answer for. I still do not know what the hell the deal is with Malaysia for Wiley. I've been questioning that this whole year. Dawn Staley kept her coming off the bench, and every time she come in, she had a couple of games where she lit it up, but more often than not, she was wild, she was out of control, she wasn't making shots, and tonight she was turning the ball over. She played 18 minutes. She was 4 for 7, 1 for 4 from 3, and she had 2 turnovers. She ended up with 9 points. Very pedestrian. When Dawn put her in, she immediately pulled her out after about 5 minutes and was fussing at her because she came out flat. You cannot come out flat, number one, against UConn, and number two, you can't come out flat in the national championship game. You cannot do that. You are not going to win. UConn was a better team, period. Sarah Strong was the force that drove UConn in this tournament. Paige Beckers was good. AZ Fudd was better. Sarah Strong was best. South Carolina had no answer. The UConn Huskies are your NCAA women's basketball champions.